Hey Facebook, so basically we have a huge surprise. Rivera is here for Taste 2016, checking out the NUEVOlution exhibit. Take a look.
Years ago, so this is kind of her take on this New South. Right?
I love it. I really do.
Isn't that great?
Is she here?
She might be here tonight.
She'll be here tonight.
I really think that's great.
Yeah, and then of course Southern Africa here. A lot of people come to the exhibit with some knowledge of this change, and some people come with actually no knowledge. So we wanted to have this map here to kind of let them know that it's not just one country, right? It's a whole different, almost 2,000 countries in Latin America with very distinct cultures, distinct languages as well. It's not just one language, right? It's Spanish and Portuguese, but also within these countries we have native languages that still exist. And so this is kind of the change, right? And then over here we show the history of Latinos in the South, or people that spoke Spanish. So much of this change has been over the last 25 years, but we've been here for a while. At least people that spoke Spanish, the first European language to be spoken here was Spanish, right? Parts of the U.S. were part of either Spain or Mexico at one point. We have farm workers that came here in the early 1900s, but the first kind of cultural communities in the South, Latino communities, were was the Cuban community, especially in Florida. This is kind of just visually kind of show you how much it has changed. This is actually my high school. This is Monroe High. I came to North Carolina when I was 10.
From where?
From Mexico.
Okay.
Yeah,
Where in Mexico?
In Guerrero, which is kind of the southern part. A lot of people know it because of Acapulco, but I live like 3 hours away.
My grandmother's family came from Chihuahua.
Oh yeah, yeah.
My father's family came from Bayamón, Puerto Rico.
My dad's brother lives in Chihuahua. So,
And
yeah.
then my mother's father came from the Philippines, so we got a little bit of everything.
Yeah, kind of what's happening here in the South, right? And this is kind of interesting facts about the South. One of the things that we want to let people know is that this idea of Latino Hispanic was created here in the U.S., right, for the purpose of the census. So if you live in places like Colombia or Ecuador, you don't necessarily see yourself as Latino. It's only when you come to the U.S. that kind of lump you into this idea of Latino. Also, the point that we make is not only larger cities like Charlotte, Raleigh, and Atlanta, but also smaller towns here in North Carolina and all across the South. Here we have Charlotte, which we're about 14% Latino, but Monroe, as I mentioned, when I came in 1999, was about 10%. Now we're at 29%. We have places like Sanford, very small towns, Siler City, Asheboro, places that were losing residents, but now are gaining more residents because of the Latino community. Some of the things, right, about people become naturalized. One of the facts that kind of get people sometimes is about half of Latinos living in the South are already U.S. citizens. So now the Latino growth in the country is no longer driven by migration, but by birth. And so people are setting roots here. And then on this section over here, we have, we talk about identity. What does it mean to be Southern? What does it mean to be American? What does it mean to be Latino in the South? Which is different from being Latino in the South, Southwest, or in the West, or in the North. We asked a question over here of how do you see yourself? Maybe you consider yourself American, Southern, something else. Well, American, Ecuadorian, I don't know what that means, but Samoan, Jamaican, Chinese, this person is phenomenal. Puerto Riqueña, de pura cepa, un poco de todo, so a little bit of everything, right? So it's kind of this blend of cultures as well and towns. Here we make this point that this change has happened before, but with different communities, right? There's these two unaccompanied minors from Italy coming to Ellis Island, and then some reactions about immigrants here with the Asians, and also here some, Europeans. So the reception hasn't really been positive all the time. And here we make a point of who gets to come. We kind of explain a little bit of who gets to come to the U.S., who gets to stay. This is actually a checklist that they gotta do. All right, so it's not a very easy process. Before, it was very simple, just like Ellis Island. As long as you got here, you were okay. And they checked you if you were healthy, but you were okay. And now the system itself hasn't been reforming since 30 years. So things have changed, but the system itself hasn't. And then we have people that can also take the citizenship test. And we've had teachers do it. Sometimes they pass, sometimes they don't. Sometimes their students pass and the teachers don't. So these are questions that come from the actual citizenship test itself, which is not multiple choice, but this one it is. And they get, as long as they can answer 7 questions, then they pass here. But if you do it in real life, you got to take it again. So it's not an easy process. And this is kind of the heart of the exhibit. And this whole section is centered around this idea of encuentro, which is a Spanish word that means kind of coming together, discovering this idea of encounters. But we know that not every encounter is a pleasant one. Sometimes there's friction, sometimes there's tension. So on the other side, there's a corridor with some stereotypes that people have said. We've collected them from social media, from politicians, from hate mail, from nonprofits. Not only towards Latinos, but also some stereotypes that exist within our Latino community. So this idea that stereotypes exist everywhere, and that if you're able to move forward, we have to recognize that they exist, and they are themselves stereotypes.
Oh, which one? This. Okay.
Oh,
Are you here? Yes.
We got a bigger one. We got a bigger one. So this story is actually a story about Rosalia. She's the painter that did the painting that was in the beginning. And this story talks about a very difficult issue. She worked with young children whose parents had been deported or were in the process of deportation. The gentleman that you see over there, he was stopped here in Charlotte because for the simple fact of not having a driver's license. And he was put into deportation proceedings. He was able to fight his case with the help of the community. Now that picture was taken after he was released, and now he's able to stay here with his family. But you know, this is a story of success, but also we know that unfortunately it doesn't happen every time. Those kites that you see there, they were created by the children themselves, and the pieces of cloth there are part of the clothes from their parents who was deported or in the process of deportation. This story is going to be turned into a children's theater. The children put a play, and it's going to be shown later this month. Yeah, the magic play.
That's strong.
And then here, these stories come from these 3 different states where the other museums are, so North Carolina, Georgia, and Alabama. So this one we thought is more uplifting, where a lot of people can connect with them. With dancing, people use dance to kind of bring different communities together. And Wendy and Rodrigo Jimenez, one of them is from El Salvador, the other one is from Chile. They're going to be here tonight dancing, and this story kind of tells of how they came together here in Charlotte, found each other, but also how they found a community here. And then the story over there is of having it here, of the Camino Church, and then also they have a pantry that helps people, mostly non-Latinos, but that was started by a Latino woman. Over here we talk about the Day of the Dead. This is a altar that was created by Jose Vasquez, a local artist here in Charlotte, for his grandfather. That's a picture of him, and this tradition for a lot of people that are able to go back to the countries and celebrate it in their country of origin. They celebrate it here in the U.S. So some of those traditions change a little bit. Every year we have the Day of the Dead celebration. This was taken about 2 years ago for this exhibit, and the fascinating thing about this event, and one of the things that I like, is that it's very diverse. You have people that are coming here to show their children their traditions, but also you have non-Latinos that come to learn about this stuff, right? Because it's important. It's always a great time. Here, we talk about food. Our historian, Dr. Tom Hatchett, one of the things he says, the best way to kind of get to know culture is through their food, right? So usually you can have like a very traditional southern food, like fried chicken, where you also have guacamole, candy yams, enchiladas, plantains. 15, 20 years ago, it would have been hard to find a good Dominican restaurant or a Greek restaurant or a good Mexican restaurant here in Charlotte. But now, like, you can take your home. Yeah, that's it, exactly. We talk about music, blending of music. This is the story of a very small town in Georgia called Gainesville, where the main source of work is the poultry factories. And it's not easy sometimes in smaller towns. The story of these two gentlemen who are saying the same thing, but sometimes you can tell that maybe they've never had a conversation with each other. Right? So this idea of encuentros, but also of frictions and tensions that exist. Here we talk about access to education for undocumented students, and that's me. Over here, a school in Birmingham that is trying to be welcoming in a place that sometimes is very unwelcoming. It's a very inspiring story about a principal who saw that his job was to educate and to create a community within his school. And then over here, it's a bigger picture. And one of the highlights, a lot of people come here, they see you, and they instantly want to speak up, but I'll let the video talk for itself.
Growing up, one of my role models culturally accepted. My uncles all grew up playing football and baseball and basketball. Those are the three primary sports. And one thing that I love was football.
Oh, nice picture. Throwback. That's a throwback first. I wanted. Throwback Thursday for sure.
It's funny because people say, well, you're my board, I don't believe that. I don't believe that we fight people.
Oh, there I am. Does the museum have a hashtag or at whatever for Twitter?
Yes, at
Okay.
at Levine Museum.
Okay. Is there a hashtag for tonight?
Yep, and the hashtag for tonight is Taste 2016.
Is in the museum. Got it. Okay. And hashtag.
Taste 2016.
Okay, gotcha.
So when schools come and they go through the exhibit, sometimes we go down to the classroom and we talk about what stays with them after the exhibit, right? What are they left feeling? And one of the questions that we ask is, what is your American dream? What do you want to do when you grow up? And one of the things that they always refer to a lot of times is this video. And the people that are here, these are leaders in the community that are finding success in the restaurant business, in education, in passion, all of these folks that are not only finding success for themselves, but also helping other people in the community as well. You want a picture?
Yeah, do you think that we can get a picture of you in there? Here we go, right?